Hello and welcome to My Safety Hub, your go-to source for all things health and safety. I'm Dylan Stein, and in our previous 4 videos have been about accessing a DB board safely. Today we are going to try and break down the operation of a diesel forklift in one video. So please let us know which of the formats you'd prefer and what SOP you would like us to tackle next. Today, as I said, we are focusing on safe operation of forklifts. Powerful machines that when handled incorrectly can pose significant risks. We all know that there are multiple types of forklifts like battery or LPG ones, but we'll be tackling the diesel-powered forklift SOP today. We'll be breaking down a comprehensive safe operating procedure, or SOP as we call it, guiding you through every step from pre-task checks to post-operational procedures. This SOP is crucial for anyone operating a diesel forklift, ensuring consistent adherence to safety protocols and minimizing accidents, injuries, and property damage. Let's start by understanding the scope and purpose. This safe operating procedure outlines the necessary steps and precautions for safely operating a diesel forklift for general use. It applies to all personnel tasked with operating a diesel forklift within a designated working area. The purpose of this SOP is to ensure the safe and efficient operation of diesel forklifts to prevent accidents, injuries, and property damage. Mitigate the risks associated with diesel forklift operations include biological, chemical, electrical, environmental, ergonomical, fire-related, physical, slip, trip and fall, and thermal hazards. Provide clear guidelines and instructions to personnel to promote consistent adherence to safety protocols and best practices while operating diesel forklifts. Foster a culture of safety awareness and accountability among all employees involved in diesel forklift operations. This SOP serves as a reference guide for personnel involved in operating diesel forklifts and should be followed diligently to ensure that all health and safety of individuals and the efficient functioning of operations. Clear lines of authority and responsibility are key to effectively manage safety. The authority for implementing and enforcing the safe operating procedure lies with the Health and Safety Department, in accordance with South African health and safety regulations and organizational policies. The operations manager is responsible for overseeing all diesel forklift operations and ensuring compliance with safety standards and procedures. The operations manager is responsible for providing necessary resources and support to implementing this SOP, designating qualified personnel to operate diesel forklifts, conducting regular inspections and audits to ensure compliance with safety protocols, investigating and addressing any safety concerns or incidents relating to diesel forklift operations. All personnel involved in operating diesel forklifts are responsible for familiarizing themselves with this SOP, adhering to its guidelines at all times, using appropriate personal protective equipment as specified in this SOP, reporting any safety hazards, equipment malfunctions or near misses to their supervisor immediately. Participate in training sessions to enhance their understanding of safe forklift operating practices. The Health and Safety Officer is responsible for assisting in the development and review of this SOP to ensure its effectiveness, providing guidance and support to personnel regarding safety procedures and best practices, conducting regular safety inspections and risk assessments to identify any potential hazards and implement corrective actions, collaborating with management to investigate accidents or incidents and implement preventative measures. Maintenance staff are responsible for performing regular maintenance checks on diesel forklifts to ensure proper functioning, promptly addressing any equipment defects or failures to prevent accidents or disruptions by operations. By clearly defining the authority and responsibility of each of these stakeholders involved in diesel forklift operations, this SOP aims to establish accountability to ensure the effective implementation of safety measures. As we know by this time, this section summarizes the potential hazards and the associated risks from your risk assessment conducted in OSH Online. Let's have a look at 5 hazards and risks for operating a diesel forklift in general. Remember, these are only 5 examples of the hazards and risks on the SOP, and you can customize the content directly from OSH Online. First up, behavioral hazard. Improper or correct driving practices conducted. The risks associated with this: speeding or maneuvering sharply, causing an incident and injury to themselves or others, resulting in possible loss of the vehicle up to R1 million. Property damage up to R100 million and upwards. Possible wrenching trauma such as sprains or strains. Possible impact trauma, bumps, bruises, head injuries. Possible compression trauma, crushing of digits, limbs, torso. Possible penetration wounds, cuts, lacerations, punctures. Possible fractures, minor, mild or compound. Possible temporary disablement, partial or complete. Possible permanent disablement, partial or complete. Possible multiple fatalities, and possible legal liability, resulting in a high risk behavioral hazard. Next up, we have behavioral hazard. Improper or incorrect medication practices conducted. The risks for this: operation of forklift under the influence of prescribed medication, causing the vehicle to operate uncontrolled and be involved in an accident, resulting in possible loss of a vehicle up to R1 million and upwards. Property damage up to R100 million and upwards. Possible wrenching trauma, strains and sprains. Possible impact trauma, bumps, bruises, head injuries. Possible compression trauma, crushing of digits, limbs or torso. Possible penetration wounds such as cuts, lacerations and punctures. Possible fractures, minor, mild or compound. Possible temporary disablement, partial or complete. Possible permanent disablement, partial or complete. And possible multiple fatalities. Possible legal liability, all of these resulting in a high risk. Another behavioral hazard: improper or incorrect work practices conducted. The risks for this is operation of the forklift under the influence of alcohol or drugs, causing the vehicle to operate uncontrolled and be involved in an accident, resulting in the possible loss of a vehicle, as mentioned, of R1 million and upwards. Property damage of R100 million and upwards. Possible wrenching trauma such as strains and sprains. Possible impact trauma, bumps, bruises and head injuries. Possible compression trauma, crushing of digits, limbs and torso. Possible penetration wounds, cuts, lacerations and punctures. Possible fractures, minor, mild or compound. And possible temporary disablement, partial or complete. Possible permanent disablement, partial and complete. Possible multiple fatalities. Possible legal liability. Again, all of these resulting in a high risk. Next, we have another behavioral hazard: improper or insufficient signage or safety demarcation markings. The risks for this hazard include struck by moving forklift, causing impact trauma, resulting in possible impact trauma such as bumps, bruises, head injuries. Possible compression trauma, once again, of crushing of digits, limbs and torso. Possible penetration wounds, again, such as lacerations, cuts and punctures. Possible fractures, minor, mild or compound. Possible limb amputations. Possible temporary disablement, partial or complete. Possible permanent disablement, partial or complete. Possible fatalities. All of these resulting in a possible risk. The last one here is another behavioral hazard: improper, insufficient or defective forklift warning devices. The risks of such is lack of awareness of forklift operation, causing an incident and injury to themselves or others, resulting in possible wrenching trauma such as sprains and strains. Possible impact trauma, bumps, bruises, injuries. Possible compression trauma such as the crushing of digits, limbs or torso. Possible penetration wounds such as cuts, lacerations or punctures. Possible fractures, minor, mild or compound. Possible temporary disablement, partial or complete. Possible permanent disablement, again partial or complete. Possible multiple fatalities, possible legal liability, all of these resulting in a high-risk task. We now move to Section 4, the required PPE. Using the correct personal protective equipment is paramount. This SOP mandates wearing of overalls, foot protection, hand protection, reflective jackets, and a hard hat. These items are essential for minimizing exposure to hazards and ensuring operator safety. Section 5 is the task description. This is the core of the SOP, detailing the step-by-step procedure for the safe forklift operation. We have pre-task checks. These involve inspecting the equipment, verifying fuel levels, checking the surroundings, reviewing safety procedures, and assessing environmental conditions. Conducting the task. This covers starting the forklift, adjusting controls, inspecting travel paths, loading and unloading procedures, driving and maneuvering, monitoring the load, positioning the forks, and parking. The post-task checks. These include post-operational inspections, securing the forklift, documentation, housekeeping procedures, and waste disposal. Equipment organization, safety equipment checks, safety considerations such as PPE, fire safety, and ventilation. 5.1 we have the pre-task checks. Inspect equipment, ensure that the diesel forklift, including forks, controls, and safety features, are in good working condition. Check for any signs of damage, leaks, or wear and tear that could affect the forklift's performance or safety. Verify fuel levels. Confirm that the forklift has adequate amount of diesel fuel for the intended task. Avoid starting the forklift if the fuel level is too low and prevent disruption during operation. Check surroundings. Survey the work area for any obstacles, pedestrians, or other forklifts to avoid collisions and accidents. Ensure that there is sufficient clearance for safe maneuvering and lifting operations. Review safety procedures. Refresh your understanding of safety procedures outlined in this SOP, including traffic management, load capacity limits, and emergency protocols. Ensure that all personnel are operating forklifts are familiar with these roles and responsibilities. Assess environmental conditions. Check the weather forecast and environmental conditions to anticipate any potential hazards such as rain, wind, or extreme temperatures. Adjust the driving technique and precautions accordingly to mitigate these risks associated with the adverse weather conditions. Inspect personal protective equipment. Ensure that all required PPE such as safety helmets, high visibility vests, and steel-toed boots are available and in good condition. Verify that PPE is properly worn before starting the forklift operations. Secure work area and establish clear signage and barricades to mark off the work area and prevent unauthorized access. Remove any debris, loose materials, or obstacles that could interfere with forklift operations. Check the ground stability. Inspect the ground surface for stability and firmness to support the weight of the forklift and its load. Avoid operating the forklift on uneven or soft ground to prevent accidents or equipment damage. Test emergency stop functions. Familiarize yourself with the location and operation of the emergency stop or lever. Test the emergency stop function to ensure it is functional and can be easily accessed in the case of an emergency. Communicate with team members. Coordinate with other personnel and forklift operators to ensure clear communication and safe coordination of tasks. Use designated communication methods such as two-way radios or hand signals to communicate effectively during forklift operations. By conducting thorough pre-task checks, you can identify and mitigate potential hazards and ensure the safe operation of diesel forklifts and the protection of personnel and property. 5.2. Conducting the task. The following important points should be followed when conducting the diesel forklift task. Pre-operational inspections. Conduct a thorough pre-operational inspection of the diesel forklift, checking for any visible damage, fluid leaks, or mechanical issues. Ensure that all safety devices are operational. Starting the forklift. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for starting the diesel forklift. Check that all gauges and indicators are functioning correctly and that there are no unusual noises or vibrations. Adjusting seat and controls. Adjust the seat, mirrors, and controls to ensure comfortable and ergonomic operation. Make sure the seatbelt is fastened securely. Travel path inspection. Inspect the travel path for any obstacles, uneven surfaces, or potential hazards. Ensure that the path is clear before moving the forklift. Loading and unloading. Position the forklift correctly before lifting or lowering loads. Ensure the load is stable, balanced, and secured on the forks. Follow proper lifting techniques to avoid tipping. Driving and maneuvering. Drive the forklift at a safe speed, taking care when turning, reversing, or navigating through tight spaces. Use the horn to alert others when necessary. Monitoring load. Continuously monitor the load while transporting it to ensure it remains stable. Avoid sudden movements or sharp turns that could cause the load to shift or fall. Fork positioning. Adjust the fork height to the appropriate level for loading and unloading. Ensure that the forks are fully inserted under the load and tilted back slightly for stability. Parking the forklift. When parking the forklift, choose a designated parking area away from traffic and hazards. Lower the forks to the ground, set the park brake, and turn off the engine. Post-operational inspections. After completing the task, conduct a post-operational inspection. Check for any new damage, fluid leaks, or issues that need attention. Report any problems to the appropriate personnel. Securing the forklift. Secure the forklift by locking the ignition and removing the key. Follow any additional security measures as specified by your organization. Documentation. Complete any required documentation or log entries related to the forklift operation. Record any incidents, maintenance needs, or observations for future reference. By adhering to these guidelines and maintaining a focused and attentive approach to the task, you can ensure the safe and effective operation of a diesel forklift for general use. Post-task checks. The following post-task checks should be made after the diesel forklift task has been completed. Shutdown procedures. Follow proper shutdown procedures to deactivate the diesel forklift and secure all associated equipment. Ensure that all controls are in an off position and the power sources are disconnected as necessary. Inspect equipment. Conduct a visual inspection of the diesel forklift, including forks, tires, and safety features to identify any signs of damage or wear. Report any equipment defects or malfunctions to the appropriate personnel for repair or replacement. Check for leaks. Inspect the area around the diesel tank and forklift engine for any signs of fuel leaks or spills. Address any leaks promptly to prevent environmental contamination and safety hazards. Secure fuel containers. Ensure that all fuel containers or tanks on the forklift are properly filled and secured after use. Verify that caps or lids are tightly closed to prevent spills or fuel evaporation. Clean up spills. If any diesel fuel spills occur during operation, promptly clean up the affected area using absorbent materials. Dispose of contaminated materials in accordance with applicable regulations and safety protocols. Dispose of waste properly. Dispose of any used contaminated materials such as gloves or wipes in designated waste receptacles. Avoid leaving waste materials lying around to prevent environmental pollution and safety hazards. Inspect grounds. Inspect the immediate vicinity of the forklift for any damage or disturbances caused during operation. Address any hazards such as uneven surfaces, debris, to ensure a safe working environment for future tasks. Review documentation. Review and complete any required documentation related to the forklift operations, such as maintenance logs or incident reports. Ensure that all relevant information, including fuel usage and any incidents or observations, are accurately reported. Communicate status. Communicate the completion of the forklift operation and any relevant findings or observations to the appropriate personnel or supervisors. Provide feedback on the task execution and identify any areas for improvement or follow-up actions. Debrief the team. Conduct a brief debriefing session with team members to discuss the forklift operation. Include successes, challenges, and lessons learned. Encourage open dialogue and feedback to foster continuous improvement and enhance on safety practices. By conducting thorough post-task checks and follow-up actions, you can ensure that the diesel forklift operation was completed safely and efficiently, minimizing risk and promoting a culture of safety within the workplace. 5.4 Housekeeping. The following housekeeping checks should be made of the work area when the task is completed, the task is interrupted for some time, or when the work area is left unattended for any time. Clear work area and remove any debris, tools, or equipment from the immediate work area to prevent tripping hazards and obstruction of pathways. Dispose of waste properly. Collect and dispose of any waste material such as used gloves, wipes, or packaging in designated waste bins or containers. Clean up spillages. Clean up any spills or leaks promptly using absorbent material and appropriate cleaning agents to prevent slips and falls. Organize equipment. Arrange hoses, cables, and other equipment neatly and securely to minimize clutter and facilitate efficient workflow. Store tools and equipment. Return tools and equipment to the designated storage locations after use to prevent loss or damage and maintain a tidy workspace. Inspect safety equipment. Check the condition of safety equipment such as fire extinguishers, first aid kits, and emergency eye wash stations, and ensure they are readily accessible and in a good condition. Maintain clear pathways. Ensure that pathways and access points around the work area are clear of obstacles and debris to facilitate safe movement and emergency access. Secure loose items. Secure any loose items such as hoses, cables, or loose objects that prevent them from becoming tripping hazards or causing accidents. Clean equipment. Wipe down and clean equipment including the forklift to remove any residual fuel or debris and maintain operational efficiency. Inspect grounds. Inspect the ground surface for any signs of damage, spills, or hazards and address any issues promptly to maintain a safe working environment. Maintain lighting. Ensure that lighting fixtures in the work area are functional and provide adequate illumination during both day and night operations. Address spillage residue and address any residue or stains left behind by spills or leaks to prevent slip hazards and maintain a clean and professional appearance. By adhering to these housekeeping practices, you can promote a safe and organized work environment, reduce the risk of accidents and injuries, and uphold a standard of cleanliness and hygiene in the work area. 5.5 Safety considerations. The following are safety factors to consider when operating a diesel forklift. Personal protective equipment. Ensure that all personnel operating the diesel forklift wear appropriate PPE, including gloves, goggles, and protective clothing to minimize the risk of exposure to hazards. Fire safety. Take precautions to prevent fires and explosions by avoiding smoking, open flames, or sparks in the vicinity of the forklift and fueling area. Maintain proper grounding of the forklift to dissipate static electricity and prevent the ignition of fuel or vapors. Ventilation. Ensure that adequate ventilation in the work area to minimize exposure to the diesel fumes and prevent any respiratory issues. Avoid operating the forklift in enclosed or poorly ventilated spaces where diesel fumes can accumulate. Slip, trip, and fall hazards. Mitigate slip, trip, and fall hazards by keeping the work area clean and free of spills, debris, and obstacles. Use caution when operating the forklift on wet or slippery surfaces, and ensure footwear with slip-resistant soles are worn. Chemical exposure. Minimize the risk of chemical exposure by following proper handling procedures for diesel fuel. Wash hands thoroughly after handling diesel fuel or contaminated equipment to remove any residual chemicals. Electrical safety. Exercise caution when operating electrical equipment on the forklift to prevent electrical shock or electrocution. Inspect electrical cords and connections for damage before use and avoid using damaged or frayed cords. Environmental protection. Take measures to prevent environmental contamination by promptly addressing spills or leaks and using spill containment measures. Follow proper waste disposal procedures as mentioned to minimize pollution and protect natural resources. Ergonomic considerations. Avoid ergonomic hazards such as awkward postures or repetitive motions by using proper operation techniques and regular breaks to rest and stretch. Adjust the forklift seating and seat positions to promote a comfortable and ergonomic working environment. Equipment safety. Conduct regular inspections and maintenance of the forklift to ensure proper functioning and prevent malfunctions or failures. Follow the manufacturer's instructions and guidelines for the safe operation of the forklift and report any defects or abnormalities promptly. Emergency preparedness. Familiarize yourself with emergency procedures, including how to safely shut down the forklift and evacuate the area in case of an emergency. Keep emergency contact information readily available and know the location of emergency response equipment, such as fire extinguishers and first aid kits. By addressing these safety considerations, you can minimize the risks and hazards associated with operating the diesel forklift, ensuring the health and well-being of personnel and the protection of the environment. 5.6. Emergency measures. In the case of an emergency arising while operating a diesel forklift, the following checks and actions should be considered. Emergency shutdown procedures. Familiarize yourself with the location and operation of emergency shutdown switches or valves to quickly stop the forklift in case of an emergency. Fire emergency. In the event of a fire, immediately shut down the forklift and evacuate the area. Use nearby fire extinguishers to extinguish small fires, aiming at the base of the flames and maintaining a safe distance. Medical emergency. If someone sustains an injury or medical emergency, stop the forklift operation and provide first aid as necessary. Call for medical assistance immediately and follow established protocols for reporting incidents and seek medical treatment. Spill response. If a spill occurs, stop the forklift immediately and contain the spill using absorbent materials or spill kits. Report the spill to the appropriate personnel and follow established spill response procedures. Electrical emergency. In the event of an electrical hazard such as a power outage or equipment malfunction, disconnect the power sources and cease forklift operations. Avoid touching exposed wires or electrical equipment and wait for a qualified person to address this issue. Chemical exposure. If someone experiences chemical exposure or contamination, immediately remove them from the affected area and rinse the exposed skin or eyes with water. Seek medical attention promptly and provide information about the type of chemical involved for the appropriate treatment. Evacuation procedures. If evacuation is necessary due to an emergency, follow the established evacuation routes and go to the nearest assembly point. Assist others in evacuating the area safely and avoid re-entering until it is deemed safe to do so. Communication. Maintain communication with emergency responders and provide them with relevant information about the nature of the emergency and any hazards present. Use designated communication channels such as radios or phones to coordinate response efforts and relay updates. Hazardous atmosphere. If a hazardous atmosphere is detected, such as high levels of exhaust fumes or lack of oxygen, evacuate the area immediately and seek fresh air. Use respiratory protection if available and follow the established protocols for working in confined spaces or hazardous environments. Environmental protection. In the event of an environmental incident, such as a significant spill or contamination, take immediate action to contain the spread and minimize environmental damage. Notify relevant authorities and follow established procedures for reporting environmental incidents and initiate cleanup efforts. Section 6. Control measures. This section details the various control measures that should be implemented to minimize risks. These include engineering controls, isolation controls, administrative controls, and behavior controls. Remember, these are only 5 examples of the control measures in this SOP, and you can customize the content directly from OSH Online. Let's have a closer look at the 5 suggested controls that will minimize and mitigate the hazards and risks mentioned back up in Section 3. First up, we have engineering controls for equipment in the form of warning devices, audible alarms to be more specific. These are audible alarms that are used on the forklift which emit a loud, distinctive sound when the diesel-powered forklift is operating. They provide an audible warning signal to alert persons in the vicinity of the movement of the forklift, especially in noisy or busy environments where visual signals may not be as effective. Their purpose is to enhance safety during diesel-powered forklift activities by reducing the risk of collisions and accidents. This control is linked to hazard statement 5. Number 2. Warning devices in the form of a strobe light. These are rotating lights that are used on the forklift which emit a bright flashing light in all directions. They serve as a visual warning signal to alert persons in the vicinity of the movement of the diesel-powered forklift, especially in noisy or busy environments where audible signals may not be as effective. Their purpose is to enhance the safety during diesel-powered forklift activities by reducing the risk of collision and accidents. This control is linked to hazard statement 5. Next up is an isolation control, more specifically barriers, in the form of access control. By controlling the access of persons to the forklift work area, the area is not only less congested, but also persons who are not familiar with the hazards of the forklift are kept out, lowering the risk of an incident involving these persons occurring. This control measure is linked to hazard statement 6. Number 4 is demarcation in the form of a walkway. These provide designated paths for pedestrians to safely walk around the diesel-powered forklift's operation area. They help ensure walkways are clear of obstacles, helping to prevent accidental collisions between pedestrians and the forklift. Demarcated walkways serve as a visual reminder to the forklift operators and pedestrians by making it easier for the forklift operators and other workers to see where the pedestrians are allowed to walk, reducing the risk of pedestrians inadvertently entering the hazardous area. They also help to manage traffic flow in the forklift work area, reducing congestion and the likelihood of accidents. This control is linked to hazard statement 6. Lastly, we have an administrative control in the form of an appointment letter, more specifically a health and safety representative appointment. This letter refers to the appointment of a responsible person being in place as a health and safety representative. The health and safety representatives play a critical role in maintaining health and safety workplaces. One of their roles include conducting regular workplace inspections, identifying potential health and safety hazards, assessing risks and ensuring compliance with health and safety regulations. These inspections may cover various areas of the workplace, including the forklift work area where the forklift activities occur, checking to ensure general safety aspects are in place and allowing forklift work to be conducted safely. Next up is section 7, associated documents. This section lists any related documents, although in this case none are applicable. However, if you can add documents such as load test certificates, training records and maintenance logbooks. Next is section 8, review. This SOP isn't a static document. It must be reviewed and updated whenever the risk assessment changes, after a near-miss incident or an accident, and at least every 3 years to ensure its continued effectiveness. Section 9, training. All forklift operators must receive training on this SOP within 7 days of starting work. Refresher training is required annually or whenever the SOP is updated. Section 10, incident history. This section serves as a log for recording any incidents involving forklifts, aiding in identifying trends and improving safety measures. Section 11, revision history. This section tracks any changes made to the SOP, ensuring clarity and accountability. Section 12, records of task SOP communication. This section documents the communication of the SOP for trainees, ensuring everyone is informed and accountable. That concludes our deep dive into diesel forklift safe operating procedure. Remember, a safe workplace is a productive workplace. If you enjoyed today's video, please like the video and share it with your colleagues. We see that 80% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. For more workplace safety videos, be sure to subscribe to My Safety Hub. And as always, stay safe, stay inspired, and until next time, take care.